it. Welcome to yet another long VOD where you can watch me suffer through installing Kubernetes in my home lab and being distracted by any number of things, including politics, music. This is not the place to be if you want a nice, succinct video. Look for those elsewhere. If you want to hang with me, though, for the next few hours while we use kubeadm to install Kubernetes into my home lab onto Proxmox virtual machines, that's what we will be doing. I'm going to be recapping what we did so far in a bit here and outlining the specific goals going forward in a bit. So just waiting for a few views here before we get going. A few people to catch up and come in. So if you want to fast forward the video at this point, you can do so. We got 11 or 12 people in Twitch. We got a few in YouTube. So that's what we're doing. We're waiting around. I think we can probably get going. Probably have enough people to get started. Hope you guys had a great day, had a great night. I did. I sure did. I really had a great time. Anyway, so if you have questions related to Kubernetes and this kind of thing, or anything really, go ahead and ask. We will be taking AMA breaks, ask me anything kind of breaks, and I will occasionally make a video to go up and be added to the collection of skill stack videos, which begin on November 3rd. We'll be hitting really hard, that kind of thing. Saturdays are generally going to be me IRL bike streaming. I am kind of on the hook to get this cluster up and running so I can use it for work. So I'm kind of using some of my move day today to do that. So that's why I'm here. All right, let's get into it. So over the last 3 days, we've installed Proxmox, created a Ubuntu template, cloned the template into a Kate's node virtual machine, installed a Vahi daemon so I don't have to look up the DNS every time. Cloned RDBX dot, which is where all of my stuff is, and I just run /setup in order for everything to work. We took a VM snapshot of the Kate's node daemon at that point and called it Debian. That is here. I'm going to have to log back in again. Okay, so our Kate's node daemon we've been working on. So we do have a dumb shit is another thing. We have Ubuntu 2404, which is a templates from which we can make Ubuntu machines that are freshly configured. And then the Kate's node is a clone of that. And okay, so then we proceeded to clean up, install kubectl, install kubeadm, install kubelet, install containerd. Those are the 4 components of any Kubernetes node, and you kind of have to put them on there. Most of yesterday's time was spent getting the config toml to update in an appropriate way without using sed. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So if you look at containerd, the install containerd, so we got all these functions here that do different things. We installed completion, which the notes from our friend did not include. So we went the extra mile. We made sure to get completion for all the binaries that we're putting on here, run C primarily, and the other one CTR and stuff like that. So we have that. That's what that's about. We did that 2 days ago, but yesterday we spent most of the time on the containerd stuff. So let me talk about that. Here's the toml thing. So there was actually a configuration file that had to be downloaded and then installed, and its default value needed to be changed to enable run C to use system C group, and that's what this is about. I had to remind myself how to code in Python, and so we went about doing that. And then we moved it into place, so now we've got hopefully a properly configured containerd. And then the CNI plugins. So I decided to put these CNI plugins inside of install containerd because I checked with Nomad, which is not Kubernetes, and I asked if it is also CNI based, and it is. So anytime you would be installing containerd as a container engine, you also probably want to install CNI. The 2 leading container orchestration frameworks out there, Nomad and Kubernetes, both use it. So good. So that was fun to find out. That led to the inclusion of the CNI plugin installation as a part of containerd. Same with run C, which has a core dependency on it. Those two components can be installed without containerd, but in this case, we needed to make sure they're all there. They're kind of interdependencies. We've essentially written a package here, right? The reason we did this is we didn't want to play the Docker package game. The containerd packages, the dev files, those things are maintained by the Docker company and project / company / whatever, including Docker CE. It's all still well under the umbrella of the Docker Corporation, which I want nothing to do with, and neither does the Kubernetes project. So I am using containerd, and that's why we have this kind of hackish but effective shell script for now. Eventually, this will all turn into Ansible playbooks that'll just spin up my cluster, and I will share those. There's plenty of people who've done that kind of thing already, so we can compare notes with that. So today's goal is to get to start running kubeadm and actually spinning up the cluster. If we've done everything properly, then we are now ready to take this node and clone it. We're going to clone it once, and I mean, we don't need to clone it right away, but I think we probably are for one reason. We're going to be running kubeadm on this next node as a control plane, right? And so let's call it the name. This will be Kate's control. Kate's control 1 is going to be the new one. And so again, the case control, we're going to spin it up. Where is it? I can get rid of dumb shit. Dumb shit was just a machine to show that you can't rm-rf and stuff like that isn't bad. And so we went ahead and did that. Let's go ahead and delete this here. We're going to go ahead and delete it. Convert to template, clone, reboot, stop, shutdown. Let's go ahead and stop that one. And we'll see where that goes. How you doing? Paraguntenman. What's up? So here we are. Let's go ahead and remove it. I hate that you have to go all the way over here to remove it, though. That's kind of lame, actually. Purge from job configurations. VM 103, destroy. Destroy unreferenced disks owned by guests. Reference disks will always be destroyed. Remove. Hola. Hi, Night Strike. What's up? I just completed a whole summary of what we're doing today, so I'm not going to be repeating that. All right, so we're going to be installing the rest of Kubernetes with kubeadm. So here we go. We have our console machine, our control panel, our first control box, and yeah. So let's go ahead and make myself a smaller window. I always do that the wrong way. All right, so, and let's try to do this fast. It's been a long time since I've done this, so I'm going to be reminding myself how to do it a lot. So let's see here. For the record, I have been keeping the schedule up to date a lot, so I encourage you to add this to your own schedule or to figure out some way to watch it. It actually, when I do streams, I put them on there. I don't always know when I'm going to do a stream. So, what's up? How you been? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Nice. No, that's fine. All right, so let's do this. Let's go to this is my YouTube channel. I just uploaded a yoga video. What yoga do you do kind of thing. So I'm still working on that. Kubernetes Speedrunner. I wish, actually, after this first version, I'm going to start doing some speedrunning stuff. Yeah, I will eventually start doing speedrunning. And I'm going to regularly do Kubernetes install speedruns. And those will be saved to YouTube. So so people can help me out and tell me I did something wrong or whatever. I do want to make another shout out to Picard. who has been kindly sharing their notes about how to do a Kubernetes setup. And some of the stuff we've been using is validation. We've also been obviously using the official documents, which absolutely suck. The official documentation for Kubernetes is some of the worst docs ever written. And they have, there are a lot of people that have to work on that and keep up to date, and it's a very complex system. So it's a hard job that they have to do, but it still sucks. Little sprint timer to see how fast I can get it going. Yeah, that would actually be fun. I used to do timing like that for like programming tasks. I think that's more fun than lead code stuff. Like doing a regular task that you'd have to do at work as fast as possible. That would be cool, because then it would be literally, not literally, but it would be actually training you in something that's useful instead of something that's not. So what are we doing here? Plus, it would also help you remember all the techniques and everything. Kind of like, that's the kind of thing where you could actually have, spin up a cluster. I would want to use all the real things though. I would want to use Proxmox or something. I would not want to do it in a container the way Het does. I like that he does that. I think it's really great, but I'm not a fan of that. I would rather do actual systems configuration instead of, pretend. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead. We're going to exit here. We're going to keep our notes up. I'm making a list of things that I need to learn and get good at. Run C, creectl, CTR, podman. These are all things that I need to really, really master. And I have not done that yet. So I'm going to keep my Z up here as a notes window. Let's make a new tab. And we're going to CD into what should actually be, I think it has Avahi on it. Yep, it does. Damn. Okay, so case note 1 is up and running. Let's go. Actually, this is what's the IP here? 19. Okay, I think we're on the wrong system. Actually, I need to put guest services on. Did I put guest services into the image? God, I hope I did. If I did, it'll show up here. So if I click, wait, ours isn't even on yet. We haven't even started it yet. We haven't even started it yet, Rob. Okay, so I think this is going to be interesting because it's going to have a conflicting Avahi information. Because this one, Kate's node is 1.19. So that's actually probably telling us the wrong thing. You watching me? Nice. What's else? There's a lot. November 3rd, I'll be going over all that stuff. There's some ideas of what to watch on SkillStack. You can go read that. You can watch that stuff if you want. All right, so let's go back to. I'm trying to see something here. Host. So the host name here is Kate's node, but it actually shouldn't be. No, it should be. This is our. You know what? I should. I'm hesitating because I'm wondering what's going to happen with the Avahi daemon when it fires up the duplicate node. There's only one way to know. Start it up. All right, let's start it up. We're starting up Kate's control 1 here. All right, so it is running, and it has guest services on it, so it'll tell us it's on 1.22, and it looks like it. God, that came up fast. I cannot. They were not kidding when they said when you make a duplicate of a template, how fast it comes up. These things come up so fast. It's insane. It's insane how fast they start. Now first thing I'm gonna have to do is change I'm gonna put this in my notes. Okay, so let's see. Duplicate the Kate's node. For first control plane. And my first control plane is Kate's control 1. I'm going to have 3 of them eventually. Speedrun, we're trying. I am trying. I am not fast. What makes it fast to come up? I do not know. I think it's because it's built off a template, and the template has already been loaded. It's so fast. It's much faster than any other VMs I've ever seen. And maybe I don't know. I honestly I do not know. It's not good for me to guess. What I want to see is if the other yes. Oh damn! Look at all those possibilities. Look at all the possibilities. Let's do this. Let's do tab here. This is so great, right? Because once you have domain names on Avahi, they will broadcast themselves. Now, the reason that 21 or 22 is not broadcasting is because it has never been accessed. So there's no Avahi daemon over here yet. And if there is, it's wrong because the host name is wrong. And it's also not listed here because SSH uses its known hosts, its authorized host file, its known host file to do the completion. So in this particular case, we're going to have to type it out. 192.168.1.22. It's like, wait a second. This host key is known by the following other names. Okay, so this is actually a problem because we're using the same host key on all of our VMs because we clone the VM. And that is actually an issue. We need to think about that. So we need to think about that. That is not good. You guys don't know why that's bad, but I'll tell you in a second. I have to take a break. All right, I'm back. Just set aside for a call. Just spitballing. So we need to update the host key. We definitely need to do that. Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but that's actually really bad to have all those things have the same host key. They only have the same host key because I just completely exactly duplicated the image. So, frankly, we should change the host key. I'm kind of wondering. I don't know. Let's ask ChatGPT. How do I generate a new SSH host key? I do not know. Keygen? Seriously? Is it a different form of keygen? RSA-F host k-n. Parent VM. The parent VM is just based on a Debian install. Ubuntu, sorry. Yeah. We've talked about using Cloud.NET. We'll eventually use Cloud.NET for the whole thing, but right now we just wanted to. We don't want to spend the time and invest it in. I already spent too much time with the startup scripts, which probably could have spent in doing Cloud.NET. Cloud.NET is by far the best way to do this. In fact, our friend with the notes, that's what they do. Because we're using Ubuntu, we have the option of using Cloud.NET. And yeah, you can add NetPlan, which people have mixed feelings on it. I actually really like NetPlan. But yeah. So there's got to be a way to do this. We're coming from modern systems. Yes, 822519. That's what I use. What I don't understand is why this is doing keygen is like private keys. How does this know that it's a host key? I guess it's just another key, just like all the other ones, right? I don't think I. Let me actually look. This is not secure information, so no one needs to worry that I'm doxing something about my system. Let's go look. I'm gonna say no to this. I'm gonna say actually no. Let's do this. It's just keys. It's just keys like anything else, right? So it's just is it a key pair? I'm guessing the -n means it's not a key pair. Let's actually look at the explanation. So it says, T specify key type, I need that. F, I need that. N ensures no passphrase is set. That I knew. I didn't know the N, actually. But it's making a host key pair. Why, though? And let's say studio system is restart SSH. Verify your new host keys. SSH host underscore. Okay, so it's basically it's just a key pair. It's just a regular SSH key pair. It's just saved in a different place. I don't think I knew that because I've never had to override host keys before. That's not a thing that people do. When you install SSH, it generates a host key for you. So that's kind of pre-done, and they're unique. That must be programmatically done when you install the package, when you install the SSH package, I'm guessing, right? So this is good. This is it. I mean, this is why I'm doing the whole blab. That's why I'm going through the setup. I'm learning something here. Clients who previously connected to. By the way, if you're a hacker, this is very interesting information, right? Because the way that you spoof a host is the host key. I mean, that's the most important thing you have to change. It's also the thing that protects you from man-in-the-middle attacks, which is why you want to make sure it's up to date, right? You don't really want to build even a home lab with a bunch of systems that have the same host key, because if for no other reason, SSH is going to complain at you the whole time. Like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. Another time SSH will complain at you is if you use the same IP address, you reuse the same IP address and change it. It's like a new system, and you're reusing the same IP. The host key won't match up with SSH, which has been cached, and you have to go explicitly delete it. That's to save you from man-in-the-middle attacks, even though almost most people just accept it. There are ways around it, by the way. SSH known host file. Concept previously connected to the server may receive a warning. Yes. SSH gen. What is this about? Oh, that's a keygen R. I think that removes it, right? Interesting. Following the steps, you have successfully generated a new SSH host key on your server. All right, I've never done that. Yeah, let's actually go look. What I want to do is I want to see the private key pair. So, permanently added to the list of hosts. Sudo ls-l /ssh. SSH host. This is wrong. ChatGPT is wrong again. This is usually SSHD config, I'm guessing. .d. Yeah, it's not there. Wait, what? We're on the wrong system. I was on the wrong system. I'm so sorry. Please up your non-host file. Does it? Did not know that. I just like removes everything. Yeah. That's the one that removes the line. I used to do that by hand. I go in there and delete it, which I know that there's better ways to do that now. That's kind of the old school way. etc/ssh. Oh wait, there it is. All right, so SSH and okay, so it has a pub and a private, and it does ED25519. Thank God. They're much more succinct. So I'm about to show you my private key. Actually, let's show you that it is private. Oh no, I'm gonna dump my private key, my private host key. Here's the thing. This private host key is not used anywhere but when no, I see. Okay. So this what's happening is that the client, the SSH client on my Mac in this case, it connects in and it passes the public key for that host key, and then the server says, okay, you've got the public key, and it does the encryption somehow, probably a token or something with the public key. I mean the private key, so it validates that it's correct. What I'm wondering is why does it need a private key pair? And I guess I'd like to know a little bit more about how that handshake takes place. I don't know. So yeah, I'm just looking at it really quickly because I want to see that it's a private key. It's a generic private key. Okay, so that's why SSH keygen works. SSH keygen is just public key private key pair creation. That's all it is. So we're just creating it with a very specific name, and we can override it. So let's actually, there was a couple others in here that I want to look at. I'm a little bit curious why there's so many of these, and whether we have to redo them. Let's specifically look at the pub key and match it with the pub key that is saved by my remote client. And just cause we're going to exit 255.pub. This should be exactly the same as let's go on here, and we should actually be able to cat, is it authorized host? SSH config. Gotta be careful here because this is my actual system. Known hosts. There we go. Known hosts. And so for Kate's node, or for 122, this is the one we just did. Okay, so there it is. It did do ED25519. It preferred it, even though there were two other key types there. Therefore, we only have to update the 25519 one. We don't have to update all the other ones. And it does look like it is identical. It's usually easier to look at the end of the key to decide that. So those keys are identical. So that's where it's getting it. If we were to actually log into, as you can see, these other keys are the same. So that's what it's complaining about. They should never, ever be the same. That is a really bad scenario. So we're going to correct that problem right now. That problem exists again because using Proxmox to create a virtual machine and then cloning it, it cloned everything, including the fingerprinting keys that SSH uses. So we're going to go up here and reset that as ChatGPT helped us out with. We're just going to use this command for ED25519, and I'm actually just going to copy it. I don't care. And we'll do that. I do like coffee also. I just drank some. So do keygen TED25519-F SSH. So this is going to regen those keys and overwrite the ones that were there. So rewrite, yes. Gives me your little fingerprint, and then we're going to cat that, and you'll see that it's now different. And you see it's got Kate's node and everything, but see this down here is totally different. And the interesting thing now is like when I try to access it again, so if I do SSH, Kate's node, local, actually, let's do the by IP 192.168.1.22, because they all have the same name right now. That's got to change as well. It's gonna, so that had no problem at all. And if we exit out and we cat our known host, you'll see that this known host was not updated. I find that fascinating. I find that extremely fascinating. Why did it not update it? It should have. Did it add a new one? I think it did, actually. I think it added a new one. These are all known hosts, so there's GitHubs. I don't know what that's to. None of this stuff is secret, so don't anybody worry. These are all, a lot of these are probably old and out of date. If I did keygen-r, is it just going to clean everything up automatically? It means love. Oh, right. On-prem? In love? That's nice to know. I like that. I might make a shirt that has like on-prem and it's got like a little heart. Spread the love on-prem. In love. In prem. I can go all day. All right, so what do we got here? I'm hoping to find two. You know what? Grab 1.22. Oh, there's only one, and it's wrong. Okay, so someone explain this to me. Why didn't SSH detect that the host key fingerprint is wrong for that target? It should have screamed at me because I just changed it. You see what I'm saying? Oh, wait. I didn't restart the SSHD daemon. That's what happened. Okay. I know. Wow. I'm glad I checked that. I am glad I checked that. Yeah. All right. So I just changed the values, but I didn't restart the daemon. Yes. Sudo systemctl restart or reload. Can I just get away with the reload? SSH. Yes. You guys caught it at the same time I did. All right. So now when I do it, it should bark. It should definitely bark. That's the whole point of its existence. That's why I was worried. There we go. This is the, oh no, you're being hacked. And that's what SSH is supposed to do. It checks that fingerprint to make sure it matches. Like, no, you cannot proceed. I will not connect you until you tell me that you want to use this new fingerprint, because I have a fingerprint that's wrong. And this is apparently the way that you can clean this up. So the command is SSH keygen -r, and I think that removes the line 192.168. I don't use it very much, so I'm going to try it. So there, it updated to Etsy hosts. I put the original contents back in the old. Now I can try again. And I can, yeah, here we go. So this should actually just add it. Say, do you want to add this? And say yes. And of course, there's the shot of the fingerprint. That's not the actual one. If we say yes, and that'll add me in. But what I want to show you now is that when I cat that thing again, actually when we grep 122, we see it now matches the SSH host key up here. So that was quite a rabbit hole, but I'm glad we did it. Because I'm going to actually need to do that to my anything that's official. I don't need to update my VMs. I don't need to update my, Kate's node clone, clonable. I almost want to put a name on that and call it like clonable Kate's node. Because that's its only purpose, really. In fact, let's turn it off. Let's turn it off. Let's go ahead and shut it down because it's clonable. In fact, I'm going to rename it. I'm going to put Kate's node, and then somehow in the name here, I want to make it kind of interesting. So let's see. Can we put something that shows up over here? Now, what I could do is I could actually turn that into a template. You just edit. I know that's me. I've always done that too. There is a command. I've done the command a few times. It's usually when there's sometimes the system will tell you go run -r on that. But yeah. I mean, that's nice because that can be automated, right? So I'm seriously tempted to convert this into a template. The only problem with that is if we do that, let's actually do that. Let's do that. I'm okay. So what is a template? A template apparently leverages some Z shell functionality that allows it to spin up much faster. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. If it's not correct, we can clone the template and then we can work with it and change it and then save that as a template again. So I'm going to go ahead and this is given the master VM doesn't necessarily create the host key for startup. From the master VM, I might. That's a good idea. That would take Indigo. That is a great idea, actually. Let's do that before we make a template out of this. Right? Let's try. That is a great idea. Okay. I mean, my question is it going to create all of them? Right? That is a super. Let's try that. Again, what's the purpose of a home lab? To try crazy stuff like that. Right? Normally you would never touch your host keys. Can you imagine doing this even in a developer environment at work? You would never mess with this stuff. But we can do it here. Okay, so let's do this. I'm actually super excited about this because if this works, okay, so let's start SSH Kate back up before actually, you know what? We already know that control 1 is a waste. It's a waste of space. We're gonna stop it and we're gonna get rid of it because we're gonna do it again. Overdue active status. Yes, you're dead. We're killing Kate's control 1 because we're gonna redo it. And it doesn't take that. You see how fast these things boot up? This isn't even hard. So remove. Yes, they're making sure I'm sure I want to remove it. 104. Yes. Remove. Home labs for the win. I mean, yeah. All right, so here we go. I mean, this is not the kind of thing that you could do even in it. You could pay $2,000 for training and you still couldn't do the same thing unless you have a home lab. So destroy. We destroyed it. Now Kate's app. So we have a couple templates, right? So our Ubuntu template is kind of an earlier phase with really bare bone Ubuntu Debian install. Just we don't have to go through the Debian installer every time, even though you can get around that with Cloud Init. We're not doing Cloud Init in this scenario. So a lot of the things that we're doing in these videos actually applies to things that don't have Cloud Init, like RPM, Red Hat, these kind of things. So I'm kind of glad we're not leveraging Cloud Init yet. Eventually Cloud Init will be really powerful, but that's an Ubuntu only thing. So Kate's node. We're going to go log into this Kate's node, and we're going to mess with it. Okay, actually we're already logged in. So yeah, I assume this is the right one. Let me just check. Whoopsie. Wait, did I reboot it? What did I do? Uh-oh. I killed it. Kate, I think it was turned off before actually. Kate's node.local. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it's back up. And damn. It only has 16 gigabytes of storage on root. Oh, that might be a problem. Did I only give it 16? Sorry, hold the phone. It only has 32 gig disk size. You know what? That's probably fine. Because I can clone it and I can resize the disk. etcd and those clones, they're not going to need big ones. They're not going to need big disk drives. And we don't have that much allocated disk for some reason. I haven't been able to figure this out yet. Oh, hey, thank you, nice. I haven't been able to figure this out, but for some reason our maximum disk drive is wrong on our home server. It says, and I don't know yet. I'm new to Proxmox. This is the first time I've ever used it really extensively. I tried it 3 years back. So the disk space here is got me kind of confused. Because here we go. Disks, LVM. All right, okay, never mind. I take it back. There it is. So it says we have 512 gigabytes, half a terabyte, right? What I don't understand is, which, by the way, that's not very much for what we're doing here. I mean, I can make up to, how many cores? I can make up to 56 machines on here, single core machines. And if I gave every one of them 30 gig, do the math, I think we'd be way over our gig. So in November, we're going to buy, assuming many things, but in November, we're probably going to set up a true NAS, and that will be our primary storage. But we're still going to need boot disks and stuff, so we're still going to need to chop up this SSD. Now, this is SSD, so that's probably why it's so fast, actually, because this is SSD. That would explain a lot, actually. Combined with the templateness of the thing, stuff is just like starting right up right away. We do have ZFS, but I don't know how configured it is. So that's our host system. Okay, back to the task at hand. So we're going to be checking out what happens if we nuke the keys. Right now, I shouldn't be able to access the thing, to tell you the truth. But SSHD should repair it. So we're going to test that scenario. We're going to destroy the keys. Force it to make new ones. Etsy, SSH, actually Etsy, RM, Etsy, SSH. Again, this is the kind of thing you don't want to do in home. SSH underscore host. SSH underscore host. We're going to get rid of all of them. All the host keys, and we're going to make them all get recreated. Let's make sure there's nothing named host that does not get deleted. And again, this is not going to kill my session because I already initiated a session, right? So I can still do other things here, but I could not connect to it. Actually, this is a trick from that I've learned a long time ago. If you're doing things that might block your connection, keep that connection open and open a new terminal to do the thing you want to test rather than dropping that connection, because if you lost your access, you're screwed. Anybody ever done that? I'm sure there's at least one professional that's done that out there. Keep that terminal is sacred. If you've changed the configuration value, I mean, I can obviously, this is a VM, it's a home lab, it's fine, but in production, if you're changing things that are going to deal with routing and networking and stuff like that might cause you to lose your access, you've already got your access right now, so you're good, right? So you want to keep that terminal. That terminal is like sacred terminal thing, and I'm going to keep that on there. I'm going to try to connect again. So 192.1. Hey, how you doing, Adrian? 192.168.1 dot VNC is here to save the day. Yeah, that's true. VNC and terminal. And I have both of those things in Proxmox. So yeah, absolutely. Everybody's probably done that. If I accident once in a root shell, nice. It was probably back when it actually heard things, right? By the way, the star is redundant, so you don't need. First video of the series is selling. This is not the first. No. There's 2 days ago I did a 12-hour session. It's this is not a video series. This is a live stream. So any number of random things, including huge breaks for an hour, random dancing with my wife and dog. This is not a succinct how to install Proxmox video. This is a put it on and put it in the corner while you're doing something else kind of video. It's like put the TV on, like put me on your TV while you're doing something else. Because it's going to be way too long to get. If you want a succinct speed run kind of video, wait until I know what I'm doing, and then I'll do a speed run. Okay, I have to be careful there because people get mad at me. But you're sure for a record. The funny thing about that is you don't know right away, right? You never know right away. It's kind of like sneaks up on you. You're like, wait a second, where did the ls command go? But other things are still working. I've done it. I've done all the bad things. I really have. Trial by failure. That's pretty much me. 22. All right. So I have a feeling that this is not going to work because there's no host key. Actually, let's see what's going on. VVV. We turn on 3 levels of V. It's like, no, host 22 is down. No, it's not. Wait, oh, it's 19. Okay, I'm an idiot. Here we go. Oh, it on. We made it on. You know why? Because we didn't restart SSHD. Yeah. All right, now, so that worked. Obfuscated keystroke timing starting. What the hell does that mean? Oh, this is cool. This is giving me SSH debug output during my session. That might explain why I was going so slowly before. You remember when I was like, all of a sudden I had this slowness? I can turn verbose on SSH. It'll tell me. Whoa, that is cool. I got to remember that. I've always done, -v, but VVV gives you everything, including your. Anyway, let's restart SSH. Sudo systemctl restart SSH. I think you could probably get away with a reload. Failed to control process exited with. SSH service failed because the control process exited with error codes. Uh-oh. Apparently it doesn't make you a new one. Automatically failed. Is it up? Disabled. Cannot understand that. Sorry. 18 seconds ago. So, yeah. So we learned something. Start request repeated too quickly. Scheduled restart job. All right. Let's try this. Let's try start. Nope. Let's try stop. Let's try status. Active, failed. It's for channel RAM. Oh, does it? I did not know that. I did not know that's the thing. Hey, LBG. Something changed. SSH is now triggered by SSH.sock. All I did is remove the keys because we wanted to test what would happen. And it does not, it's not happy. We totally killed it. Yeah. It's not talking anymore even. Yep. Restart. It won't do it. Server keys. Yeah, I deleted the server host keys. On purpose. We were testing to see if you restart SSHD if it'll regen them. It does not. You have to regen them yourself, apparently. So, yeah. Failed because the control process exited with error codes. We got the status and reset enabled, disabled. Triggered by SSH.socket. Man SSHD. XUSR free SSHD code exited status failure. Failed to restart code. Failed to restart open security. I think it's just not. I think it's trying to do its thing. -A. What is that about? Keygen. What is -A about? What is it about? SSH keygen -A -rounds prefix. It doesn't tell you. What does it do? What does SSH keygen -A do? I have a feeling it regenerates all host keys. I see. This is not the kind of thing I use all the time. This is the kind of thing that you would have to have a home lab to play with. I love it. The -A flag instructs SSH keygen to automatically generate all default host keys. Okay, so it's not done by default. Can you do that when the keys are already there? Oh God, that's awesome. I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. -A version O sudo RSA EDA and blah blah blah. All right, let's restart. Actually, status. It still failed. But I bet it'll start now. Only the missing ones. Oh, really? That's amazing. Restart SSH, and it's happy now. Now it's happy. And only regenerates missing keys. Okay, so reverse control plane, sudo rm, etc, let's see, remove duplicate host keys, sudo rm etc ssh d underscore config, isn't it? Where are they? Quit. I did it here. It's the SSH host. Wait, I'm just gonna copy that. Yeah. Let's see. Delete. End. Paste. All right. So recreate. Recreate host keys, sudo ssh key gen -a, restart shd ssh sudo systemctl ssh. I was 15 minutes on a few months ago. Also because it's triggered by SSH socket, changing the port in SSH config doesn't work anymore. Really? That is amazing. Thank you for sharing. I don't change the port much anyway. Het actually was talking to that. Somebody was saying that they were complaining because their team told them that their security team got on them because they were running on port 22. And Het very politely said, your security team's stupid. Because it's not safe to do that. It doesn't save you at all from a hacker. It was kind of funny. So, I think we're there. I think we got it. Okay, so that was it. We just wanted to get our host keys done. We wanted to test the automatic transition of the host keys, and that's cool because we can put that in our steps, right? If we're making a new VM, you need to change the host keys, right? And quite frankly, I haven't been doing that a lot of that. That's an infrastructure task, and that is something that you would include in your Ansible jobs. If you're using Ansible, you want to make sure to reset the host keys when you reconfigured a new, you're like cloning a VM or whatever. You want to make sure you reset those host keys for sure. So yeah. What's that? Let's go to Ubuntu. Let's use socket-based activation. It can be by default to system view socket activation. This means that SSD will not be started until all incoming connections requested received. It's been done to reduce memory consumption, which is a particular interest in a bunch of running in VMs. or LXC containers by not running SSHD when it is not used. We save at least 3 megabytes of memory in each instance, representing savings of roughly. Wow. I can only care about making Ubuntu as efficient as possible. That's interesting. I did not know that. That sounds like a canonical thing. Did anybody know if Red Hat did the same? That's super interesting. Let me put that in my notes. Yeah. Stuff to learn. SSH changing to socket. Related. I'm putting a bunch of notes here. Just cause. Paste. Put it in my Zet. This is my my note thing. A bunch of specific. Okay. And Ubuntu. All right. So it actually makes me like Ubuntu even more. I do like it. I'm not gonna lie. It's the kind of thing that Ubuntu would do that others would not. We did all this stuff. Okay, so what now? All right, so we're ready to now. All right, so the reason that we just did that test is because it appeared, and now we've confirmed that it's not possible. It has to be done explicitly. But I was hoping that if you remove the keys, that the SSHD would heal itself and it would create new keys. And it doesn't do that. If it did do that, then we could just get rid of them in our image before we make it into a template. And then when that template got copied and started up for the first time, yeah. And so, yeah. Oh, you work for an AI infrastructure company. Nice. That is so cool. So cool. I cannot wait to hear more about that. So, so the reason it was worth doing all of that testing and learning about how to reset SSH host keys is because we might have gained the savings of a few steps, right? If I had gone into my image, my K8s node, and deleted the host keys like I did, and if we had, restarted the node and tried to connect to it and have it auto heal or restart SSHD and had it heal its host keys without the SSH keygen -A, capital A, which we did. If it had done that automatically, then that would have been really nice, right? Because then we could have just cloned it, and then every single one would have got new host keys automatically, and we could clone all 6 of our K8s nodes and then made them all and have them officially configure themselves by doing that. But now we've learned that you cannot do that. You have to do that explicitly. So the host keys that are in K8s node, there's 2 other things that we have to change in our clones anyway. We have to change the host name already because that's hard-coded in. And now we have to change the host keys. So for each clone, let's see. I'm going to put this thing here. Required steps when cloning from K8s node image. And I'm going to put these here. So you have to remove the duplicate host keys and recreate the host keys, restart SSH, and you have to change the host name. CI works well here, yeah. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. So eventually, by the way, that is the goal, right? I talked about that in the first video a long time ago. After we do all of this by hand faffing about, learning how to do these things, eventually we're going to be automating. And the ultimate automation for this is going to be running home lab runners to trigger GitOps based environments. So the ultimate goal for me is going to be to have some sort of YAML file on YAML or TOML on GitHub that represents my entire home lab infrastructure. And I'll make a change to it and commit the PR, and the event will trigger a recreation of my clusters at home. And that is infrastructure as code. Yep. But I'm going to, that's my ultimate goal for my home lab. I want to be able to reconfigure my home lab by just changing a YAML file and committing it. And when I click kick push, I want it to fire off a trigger, and I'll have at least one runner that's pretty stable in my Proxmox server that's not going to change a lot. And that thing will automatically tear down and rebuild the clusters that I have. And by the way, we're doing this at work. We're doing exactly the same thing at work, which is why I want to emulate it in my home lab. By the end of this quarter, we'll have this done for all of our major clusters. They're all going to be GitOps driven, and they'll be triggering Ansible playbooks down to the node level. So we have hardware images. We add a piece of hardware in, and we add that listing to our GitOps. We add a new reference for that, the MAC address and the IP address, and we add it to our GitOps and commit that GitOps, and that it re-images, it configures. It runs our playbook to configure a node so that it matches what we want. And so it goes out there and does all the reconfiguration of that fresh hardware node, brand new Red Hat, whatever. And then it configures all of that. And then depending on what the tags are on the node, this is very Kubernetes-like kind of thing, right? And then depending on what tags are on the node in the YAML file, do we just kind of, no, we don't. No, no, I think Ubuntu and Canonical are onto something really amazing with all that stuff. Unfortunately, I will not be using it. And the main reason for that is really, I don't know, maybe I will actually, because I've already departed from having my home lab emulate work by using Canonical stuff, by using Ubuntu. As soon as I start using Cloud Init, I'm off the rails. I'm no longer synced with the corporate direction because we're all Red Hat. We get up Oscilloscope Flux. Yeah, you manage your home also with the GitHub Oscilloscope Flux. I didn't know about Flux. I've heard about it, but I haven't used it at all. But yeah, that would be something to look at, right? That would be definitely something to look at, like some kind of GitOps tool for your home lab configuration. Something like Flux. Using Proxmox is already nobody at work uses Proxmox, so there might be some economy. There might be some tools that I'm okay with using because the goal of my home lab is to get different types of clusters up really quickly, so I can write APIs and operational API, automations and CI/CD and all that stuff for that stuff. That my goal is not to get good with networking and different forms of Linux as an infrastructure engineer. That might be somebody else's goal. It's not mine right now. Mine is getting something up so I can do enterprise scale development of APIs that do machine learning job submissions and stuff like that. And managing Kubernetes. So my use of Proxmox and tools potentially like Flux and just GitOps in general, and potentially open Cloud Init integration, that stuff is all just so that I'm faster and it's better than Minikube, right? At the end of the day, so I'm not opposed to it, but the reason I'm hesitating, I'm talking about this right now, is because making a decision about whether something is going to have value for me. What is the value? The value is it's going to make me faster at getting my home lab up so I can do the things that I need to do for work and test and learn. But if there's something I have to do unnecessarily, that friction, like for example, putting Red Hat on my home systems, I fucking hate Red Hat. I hate Red Hat. I hate that it doesn't have the usability that Ubuntu has. And it does. I mean, it's, the people over there are fine. It's not anything personal like that. So, and Head's a big Red Hat fan, and he puts all that in all his systems. That's what he knows. But I live in the container, VM world of Ubuntu usually more, so I like it more. So why would I put Red Hat on my home systems when I don't know it? The argument, well, you'll learn Red Hat, so you'll be good at work. Well, that would imply that I'm actually configuring, Red Hat systems at work, and I'm not. The infrastructure team is doing that. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is made for enterprises. Yeah, but and so, I mean, I talked about this before. I ran Red Hat on my laptop for 10 years and wrote RPMs for crazy to distribute our software that I also wrote. And so, and I was managing Red Hat systems. And so at that point, it made sense for me to run Fedora on my system. I'm dating myself here, but that was what we ran. Now it doesn't make any sense for me to do that. Why live in that hell? Exactly. I mean, but the only reason to live in that hell is if you're being paid to do that. And if you're being paid to do that, why are you still doing it? Which pretty much describes me. I was like, I do not want to be managing systems. I want to be enabling machine learning job submissions and writing API backend systems engineering code, stuff like that. That's what I wanted to do. And so more and more I find myself doing it. I don't want to do Kubernetes these days, and I find myself doing nothing but Go programming, right? To write all these API integrations. And now I'm like struggling to do any Kubernetes and even set up in my home lab. Because why? Because I didn't like it, so I stopped doing it, even though it was my job, let somebody else do it, and then I did the other stuff. This is a thing that happens at work, by the way. If you have a relatively decent team, they're multi-talented, and they'll generally find their own niche on the team, even if they're all being paid to do the same thing. True story. And so if you're really good at Go, if you're like the SME in Go, I definitely am. I'm, the senior SME with Go programming skills. And we have a couple other people that run Go, people that want to learn it. They're way better at Kubernetes than me. They've been doing it, CI/CD way longer than me. They've been doing another person been doing Ansible longer than me. Another person lives for hardware, and we're all on the same team. We're all on the same team. We're all being paid for the same thing. I'm supposed to generally be able to do all the things that they do, but allowing yourself to kind of gravitate towards your niche is okay. You become specialized member of the team. You become a subject matter expert on that particular thing, and then you learn to mesh with the rest of your team members. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons party. You have a thief and you have a wizard and you have you know a stupid paladin. But you got to have, but you're all going to do the same thing, and you're all technically, you might all have the, whatever. At IBM, we all have the same, technologist, advisory technologist or something title. But that's what it is, right? On Linux stuff. Yay. Yay. Okay, what did I say? We're all a D&D party. Yeah, you should. That's what it is. It's like you have to figure out what each other's skills are and just let them be good at what they do. This idea that everybody should be able to do everything all the time, I mean, in an emergency, yes, but that is not the most efficient thing. The most efficient thing is to find what somebody's really good at and double down on their strengths. Let them do that thing, I think. But there's people who radically disagree with that. They're like, no, you should be a generalist. I just watched a YouTube video of a guy who said if you wanted to survive in today's world with all this AI and shit, everybody needs to become a deep generalist. And I was like, that's like full stack developer or, I have to take a break. I'll be right back. You should probably go take a break too. Go walk around or something. All right, we're back. I'm back. Get it for me. Go get it for me. Give me the soda. My wife's having a hard time. I gotta be there for her today too a lot. So, um, I can't talk about it, but stuff going on at her work. It's pretty crazy. So, where are we? So I'm just capturing the steps of how to recreate a node. Why are we doing this? Because we're going to save our time. We're not going to have to reinstall these machines. We're just going to we need 6 nodes ultimately, but we need to do these steps, and these steps can be codified later through GitOps or Ansible or YAML or Cloud Init, any number of ways. So we just needed to get to this point, and now it's time to start doing some installation. Again, this is something that kind of sidetracked me from creating the node and starting to run kubeadm, which was the goal at the beginning of the day. So we're now back to that. I got my copy. And let's follow these steps again. And let's actually, now that we know everything about the case, but the only reason I didn't do this, turn this case node into a template before was because I wanted to see if I could have it auto-gen, and it does not. So, yeah, so let's do that. We're going to go ahead and shut down this case node, and we're going to templatize it, which is a Proxmox thing. And while it's happening, we'll go ahead and read about what a template is. Templates are really crazy cool. They make it even faster to boot because they reuse all the everything that comes from the template uses the underlying template disk, which is just insanely cool. And I mean, that's a really oversimplification of it, but it's just really damn cool. So now we have this. This is a turned off clone. Let me go back to bubble mode. Sorry about that, guys. You can't see. So again, right here we have. So right here. So that's the original Debian Linux. And then this is our case node we just built up. Bastion used to be Minikube. That's just it's kind of like my work system. It's got all of my stuff on it when I need Linux and I don't want to use a Mac. So I can just log into that and do whatever I want to do. But this case node is about to be, we're about to just, what's the GUI? I don't know. This is just a web interface using Proxmox VE. What's the GUI that I'm using right now? This is just Mac presenter mode. It's nothing fancy. It's all built into Mac nowadays. Okay, so now we're gonna go and we're gonna change this and turn it into a. I can make it look like I'm looking at it, I guess. I'll put it up here. How about that? Put it up here. Okay, so we need to change this guy. Oh, the server viewer? I have no idea. I do not know. I do not know. I wish I did. I do not. It's a Proxmox web thing. That is literally... I don't know. Go do the research. I don't care. There's apparently Proxmox has a kick-ass CLI too. There's some things you can't do unless you use the CLI. I'm not there yet. Well, lots of people have been suggesting. We had several Proxmox experts in here when I was doing this the first time. Okay, so I'm going to convert this to a template. This is not scary, but it is kind of a little, right? Because as soon as they lock it down as a template, the only way to make any changes to it are to clone it, make changes to the clone, and then save the clone as a template, which isn't too bad, but still, it'd be nice to have everything ready. And so I'm a little nervous that I've missed something. That's why I spent all that time on host keys. So unable to create template because VM contains snapshots. Okay, that's interesting. You can't make a template on something that has a snapshot. Okay, I learned something about Proxmox today. I was not expecting that. So, I'm going to change the name of this, and I'm going to call it Kate's Node Base because I'm never going to be able to make it a template because it's always going to have Snapshots. Unless I got rid of the snapshots. I mean, let's look at the snapshots. Maybe there's something in the snapshot I can get rid of. After RDBX dot. Actually, I don't need this snapshot. Let's try. I don't need it anymore. No, because we got to a. The reason I took snapshots. Cloud. We talked about Cloud Init. Were you not here for that? I already told you a million times why we're not using Cloud Init. The main reason we're not using Cloud Init is because we want the steps that we're doing now to not be dependent on Ubuntu. And eventually we're going to use Cloud Init or something like that. Everybody says use Cloud Init, and that's great, but not yet. So go ahead and take this off. Cloud Init will get you your base image as fast as possible without having to use Proxmox. And I think that that's probably the biggest draw for Cloud Init. Also the biggest draw to use Ubuntu in my case. If you have Cloud Init, you can pull down a base Ubuntu image and sort of pre-configure it rather than freezing a VM and copying the VMs over. And the next phase of this, the next round of this is going to be me probably using Cloud Init and or Ansible. I'm trying to decide whether I just want Ansible rules that I can run on a clean VM or not. And the clean VM could still be spun up with Cloud Init. Either way, I'm going to have to get a VM, right? And so that's that. The spinning up of VMs is going to be the thing that differs from what I do at work. That's just kind of a given. We need to get rid of this guy, and I do not know how. Take snapshot, roll back, remove. I just want to remove snapshot. Yes. Running, remove the snapshot. All cloud image out there is Cloud Init regardless of the distro. Red Hat? I've never seen Cloud Init used in a Red Hat environment, ever. If you're telling me that exists, I want to know so we can look at it. But Cloud Init I've always thought was an Ubuntu-only technology. If you're saying you can actually spin up other distros using Cloud Init, then we should probably look at that. Yeah. But it's it's cloud based. That's a cloud based thing. That's designed to deal with VMs in the cloud, whether it be Amazon, Azure, or your on-prem cloud. It would be interesting to see how most of the distros, including Fedora, nice. Red Hat Enterprise HTML configuring managing Cloud Init from Red Hat L. It's using Red Hat in a public cloud, introducing Red Hat platform. That actually really emboldens me to use Cloud Init even more. I thought it was an Ubuntu only thing. So, that makes me wonder why we're not using it at work. Because we definitely are not. I'm going to ask that question at work. I'm going to ask that question at work. I'm going to take a note about that as well as something to learn. I mean, I went through Cloud Init 2 years ago pretty extensively. It's mostly a matter of remembering what I've forgotten. I've forgotten a lot, though. I know Podman more, right? Cloud Init again, and for multiple different OSs. Can you, yeah. Anyway, I wonder how Cloud Init could integrate with Ansible for, I mean, Cloud Init gets you your VM. As I said before, a lot of these technologies, Cloud Init, Ansible, Terraform, they all overlap to some degree. Last time I used Cloud Init, I remember with LBG, we actually ended up using Cloud Init to configure the system in addition, install software and stuff, in addition to just, standing up the server, the machine. And that is kind of in the solid domain of Ansible. Terraform is the same thing, right? So in fact, we could have a really, energetic conversation about Terraform versus Cloud Init. That would be an interesting conversation. Right? So, but initial configuration, right? So, but as you said, initial configuration, where does that stop? Right? Where do you pull more stuff down? One of the things about Cloud would absolutely take care of the host key issue. Absolutely, it would not, that would not be an issue. This whole cloning VMs is going to be totally taken care of by Cloud. But I kind of just want to run this down anyway, just to check. So, yeah, we need to, but I need to get good with Cloud again. One other reason I want to get good with Cloud is I seriously want to understand why our team, it's none of my business since I'm doing mostly other things, but I want to understand why we're not using Cloud at work. And I don't know the reason. I mean, is there a proprietary subscription cost to use it against the? I don't understand why we're not doing that. I mean, Cloud Init is how all of the big companies manage their clouds. So why would you not use it at home, right? Or at your place of work. So, all right, enough of that. So I'm going to get on to the kubeadm stuff. Again, stuff I do not remember at all. SSH into, did we spin up another cluster? No. All right, so let's see if we can templatize this. I do not think we can. But we're going to try. No, I don't want to start you. I want to turn you into a template. Convert to template, yes. I don't, based on everything that we've been talking about, I really don't think this idea of snapshotting VMs along the way is sustainable long term. But it is kind of fun to get used to Proxmoxes and its idea of templating and everything. Something that's an advantage of templating is that templates are faster than separate clone VMs because of the way they deal with disk, and you can read all about that in the Proxmox documentation about templates. And yeah, Proxmox, I do love it. I suck though. I mean, look, this is my first time using Proxmox and on a single server. I tried it on 16 servers and it fell on its face. It's not an enterprise technology in my opinion, but it is kind of fun for the home lab. And this idea of templating is super cool. So we're gonna go ahead and clone Kate's node, and we're gonna clone that and make it a linked clone. These are a lot faster. You can read all about this if you want to. I read about that already. You can click on the help on the Proxmox. Let's talk about link clone copies. Link clone modern storage drivers support a way to generate fast link clones, such as a clone in the writable copy of whose contents are literally the same as original data. Creating a linked clone is nearly instantaneous and initially consumes no additional space. They are called links because their new image still refers to the old image. So it's actually sort of a sharing of the two. Proxmox uses QCOW2 snapshots instead of proper snapshots like ZFS. I mean, that's not horrible that it uses QCOW, but yeah, ZFS. I thought there was some ZFS magic going on underneath, but I was unsure of that. You can hook ZFS via NFS to Proxmox snapshot it. Really? That's all stuff I need to learn still. I haven't done any of that yet. So we're gonna do home. We're gonna make the name, and we're gonna do Kate's control 1. I probably should boot it in a resource port or something. I don't. Again, this is my first real use of Proxmox ever, so I'm totally new to it. It does spin it up pretty fast. So let's go back to the summary. We're going to change the name and stuff. I think we can still change the name. It's over here, I think. Some of this stuff is not in the most obvious place, to tell you the truth. Where is it? I know it's somewhere. Started boot, virtual machine, no tags, name. There it is. Case control 1 is the right thing. God, I wonder if it's going to have the same Ethernet MAC address. It can't possibly have the same MAC address. It uses LVM snapshots. So if we use key control, this, anyway, the hardware section, does it use the same MAC address? I doubt it does. But that's like really, really, really important. This is all stuff that Proxmox is supposed to take care of for me, but I'm kind of paranoid. So, it's because controller BIOS isn't working. Network device. 3B, 5E. Let's go check. And if we make another one, is it going to do the same thing, right? So let's make another one. Let's clone another one. And make it control 2. Where I may end up just duplicating control 1, but might as well try this. Control. Now, one technique for doing all three things at the same time is you can actually have 3 tmux windows open at the same time and type the same thing in all of those windows. I've done that in the past, but it's been a while. It does save you some time on your configuration because you have to the exact same steps have to be done again. So pane linking, yes. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen that before. And that is kind of nice when you're doing the same configurations on duplicate things. Yes, synchronized pane on, yes. And by the way, that's the reason you should learn tmux. I should probably do that just to show you. It's been so long though. The thing is it has to be exactly the same thing on both systems. And that can, I mean, like, you know what? Let's do that to reset the host keys. That's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's do that to all 3 of them to reset their host keys. Hell, we could do it with 6 of them. So, because I have to do it on everything, right? That's the thing. I could just run a script into it. I mean, there's a million things, right? There's a million ways to do this. So yeah, it did make a new MAC address, which makes sense. All right, so let's sample system. What has to be the same level systems? I mean, all of them have to have their host keys removed. Again, the Proxmox is using the PBN command. Yeah. We're not using the command line stuff. That's the next step. Today is just GUI. Today is just GUI. Yeah. So let's actually make a third control plane. We might as well. Today I mean, there's lots of people coming in that are, saying, do it this way. That's fine. We are doing it this way to kind of get familiar with the Proxmox interface. Eventually, everybody knows I'm a command line guy, so eventually I'll do all of this from the PBN command and won't do any of this way. My command list is kind of old and out of date. Let's go ahead and do that here. So control 2. QM command, sorry. PB docs. What is the QM command? It just does them on all 3? Oh, QEMU. Yeah. And QEMU guest. We already have QEMU guest on it on all 3 things. Oh, this is the thing that actually cleans up your... Okay, I see. Yep. Alrighty. Yeah, back to Proxmox. I'm really slow today. I hope nobody minds. It's kind of fun to go through. I'm really exhausted when I do this stuff because I want to get acquainted with it. Control 1, 2, and 3. So let's just start up all 3 of those at the same time. I do want to check to see that guest services is running. And these machines have not been started yet. So can we start all of them at the same time? That would be cool. Can I hold shift down and do multiple selections? Nope, guess not. So multiple starts. Start Start. These are all going to have the same host key, which is going to complain until I fix it. So I can still connect. It's just going to complain. All right. So now let's check your services. Okay, so 160, that's 17. Wait, that's Bastion. 23, that's what I expect. 24 and 25. And I'm going to probably stick with the Wahi daemon on all of them again. So let's just look. 23, 24, and 25 are all here. And the IP address is being provided by guest services, which was in the template that we saved off. So that's why that's there. That's the kind of thing that you could configure with Cloud Init to be on the system by default. And again, if we did Cloud Init, we would not have to reset the host keys. That's Cloud Init would make sure they get reset for each individual hosts. DHCP server is just my home lab, and eventually I'll need to set those to static, but I don't know. I've been talking about, network architecture wise, I've been talking about configuring the DNS within Proxmox on the main server as my internal DNS, at least for the lab. So, because all my systems are going to be talking to that, I can just set them to talk to that DNS. I have two options there. Obviously, I can set reserved IPs, reserved names for them, or I can just use host names and not use IPs in anything, and put a Vahi on all my nodes, and that doesn't matter what the IPs are. Yeah. So as of this moment, this is a home lab. This is a place to experiment with this kind of thing, right? So as of this moment, I didn't have success with MDNS configured from system network services, so I'm back to the old standby Vahi daemon. And if you want to use IP, yeah. That's even a better reason, right? So I don't want to use IP addresses in my lab. I want to use domain names, and in everything, in all of my scripts, in my inventory, in Ansible, in everything. And the most flexible way to do that so far that I have been experimenting with is just setting a Vahi daemon on everything and using MDNS. Does it create more network chatter? I don't know. Anything that does not running a Vahi daemon can't participate. So that means all the stuff in your system has to have it. Otherwise, it won't know anything. But I tend to like MDNS, and I don't know if it can be owned. Somebody was saying, yeah, you're just providing another backdoor that we can own. And the other day, and I don't know that that's true. But initially, I want to try it. I want to try it out. So for today, I have to do SSH 192.168.1. What was it? 22. Let's do control 1, 23, 24, and 25. Okay, so 23, 24, and 25. I can put these in my SSH if I wanted to. But yeah. Now this is interesting. This provided a new fingerprint. You do NS update with the DHCP server on it plus the NS server at home. Yeah, that's a good idea. I wonder if my DHCP server would be new enough. I doubt it. It's a really old router. I wonder if it will talk with NS update. I haven't used that in a long time. Last time I played with DNS, I was editing, bind files. That's how old I am. I set up a DNS for our corporation in 90-something, 96, 98. No, that's not right. In 2000, I was at IBM already. Our team, we had a small DNS server in our area. And that was when I learned how to use DNS. And I didn't want to ever play with it again after that. I was like, no. So we are on case now. So two things have to change here when you... Now, this is all stuff that could be probably done from... so here, required steps when cloning a case.image, remove the duplicate host keys, recreate the host keys, restore SSH, and change the host name. You need to change the host name. Solaris box, damn. Me love some Solaris. I miss it, actually. That's how I learned about Linux. I told the Sun guys in the 90s, I was like, hey, how do I get a Sunbox at home? And they said, well, you can always run Linux. And that was my introduction to it. So yeah, it's been around. It's kind of weird to think that Linux has been around since like the early 90s, before the internet. Linux was invented before the internet was a thing. Pretty amazing that it's been around that long. So what do we got here? I should probably make a script to do this. Yeah, let's do that thing where we split panes. What am I SSHing to? 19? No, we want 22. What is it? 23, 20? IPA. What is this one? 23. 23. 23. 24. Guys, I don't know if this is going to work on this tiny little terminal. All right, so you see the host name screaming like, no, someone's got that host key, okay. I'm going to say yes. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I do. All right, so, and then one more. I know, can you guys still see it? I don't know. It's going to be very hard. Yeah. Debug packets. Did I use this? I did. We got to reconnect. I do not want to watch debug stuff a whole day. Yeah. SSH 25. 3, 4, 5. Yes. All right. So now we've got like all three, and now we can do set. What is it? Set synchronize panes to. Is it yes or on? I can't remember. Yep, there you go. LS clear. Pretty cool, huh? It could be FreeBSD. What? Very cool. Very cool. Oh, my sound was up. Gotta turn my sound back on.
It's a Unix system. It's a Unix system. I know this. It's all the files of the whole park. It tells you everything.
Did you see the Silicon Valley, this Silicon Graphics logo on the screen? Yeah. That's like an early Mac right there. What's up, Hoosier? So here we are. We are doing things. All right. So we need to remove the duplicates. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to actually copy it. I'm going to copy my... Oh, no, I don't. Yes. And paste... And I'm going to do it. And it's going to happen. You know what's funny? Look at that. It didn't do it on all three systems. That's fascinating. Pane synchronization doesn't work if you cut and paste. IRIX, rest in peace, yes. That is super fascinating. Did you guys see this? I learned something today. If you use the Tmux cut and paste buffer, it does not apply to pane stuff. Yeah. That is a big deal. RM, Etsy, SSH host, and yep, let's try that. It's a good thing that passwords are the same on all of them. Oh, look at that. It didn't do it. Did it do it? I guess it did. Sudo SSH keygen -a keygen -a enter. All right. Now we probably should reconnect after that. but we're not. We're not going to. We got to restart SSH. Sudo systemctl SSH. Wait, restart SSH. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. That's in our notes even. And it's actually not worth looking at the output from that because I won't be able to see it. It'll scroll off. I don't think that'll stay on. Oh, it did. Nice. So we got SSH running on all three of them. Actually, what we can do, let's cat etc SSH just for fun. SSH underscore host. Let's do the ed255.pub. And they should be different on all three. So, yep, they are. All three keys are different now. So that worked. And now we need to actually do the things I don't know how to do. Or I have done them once upon a time 2 years ago. So we need to run the kubeadm commands to install, to get started with our nodes. And one of the things we need to do is we need to start the kubelet command. So let's check to see if the kubelet is running. That's something I absolutely know we do need to do. So the status, I think it's cube. Is it cube or kubelet? It's kubelet. Okay, so kubelet is enabled. It's probably waiting around trying to talk to something. So that we got that because we put it on all three systems. Let's check that container D is there. Let's do ctr. Let's do sudo ctr image. Actually, image pull docker. You want to put the hello world image? What is it called? Anybody remember what it's called? Break from CH practice exam. Nice. Yeah. What is it? What is the container image for hello world? What is a good hello world container image? There's one on Docker, but I don't want to use it. Is there another one? The official image for Docker hello world is Docker. You know what I hate about this? You have to have JavaScript to read any of the Docker documentation because it's like so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. I hate sites like that. So I pushed comma and that took me out of my web browser. Anyway, there's an example of how to do it here. So let's just look at this one. Here we go. CTR image, but you can't cut and paste. Did you guys see this? Let's try it. Let's try it. I don't think you can. I don't think you can cut and paste. Okay, that one worked because it was typing it out. So, permission denied. Why is the permission denied? Did I do a sudo? Oh. There we go. All right, now we can do ctr run, which I think is, yeah, latest hello. Run latest hello. Boom. And it's like, nope, can't do it. Try something less ambitious. Oh, hello from Docker. It worked. That worked. Actually, we can do PS now. Is it, wait, image, ls, I'll show you all the images. We can do, what is it, C. CLS, there's the images, there's the runner, the hello, it's actually running right now. And we can't do that. We'd have to actually delete that one, so we can do that with R, I think. This does not have completion in it. We actually added the completion. Thank you for the follow. So
Distemper 42 is now following.
If we can remove, oh wait, hello, RM hello. Gosh dang it, delete. I don't know what I'm doing. CTR-H. It's actually in the thing here. CRM. I thought I did that. Oh, I didn't have a C first. All right, so there's no hello. Let's actually run it again. Image ls. We have the image, but we don't have any containers. The containers are now gone. CTR is containerd's interface. So there's no images. So now we can actually... Oh, that's interesting. Sudo ctr cls. Sudo... Wait, where's the Docker one? Let's do the run again. There we go. Run. Let's run it again, just for fun. All right, so... Wait, that one didn't get removed for some reason. Interesting. Okay. Well, one of our machines didn't get removed. C ls C rm hello. C ls. Now they're all gone. Whoa, another follow. Thank you.
Yoshitomi
all right,
2004
so now what are
is
we gonna
now
do?
following.
So it's still not running. It's still running, but the container still exists. It doesn't get rid of it. I should have done. I don't think CTR has as a thing. Does the CTR command have the same thing as Docker that removes it after it finishes running? I don't think it does. It'd be cool if it did. You know, it's worth finding out. Oh damn! Thank you for all the follows. This is great. So it's got to be the multi-pane thing. People like the multi-pane thing.
Is now following.
So we're gonna do CRM, and we're gonna do -H because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Label, list, info, delete, remove, create container. I want to do the run command. I want to do the run, but I want to get it so it removes like Docker does. It'll remove the image after it runs. I mean, remove the container, not the image. It looks like there might not be an option. I don't know. We're finding it out right now. Cap drop links, nope. Memory limit. TTY, no. I guess it does have IT, so you can do interactive. Yeah, -H will give you else. We don't want else. We want to runtime name. Don't want that. Read only, no. Privilege, no. Nethost, no. Annotate label. We want it to remove the container when it's done running. CW value config. Snapshot. I don't. This is on my list of things to learn. By the way, that's why I'm spending time here. I need to learn CTR. So it's on my stuff to learn, and this is a home lab. That's what it's for. So I'm spending some time learning about it. GID run C CNI enable CNI networking for the container. What? You can enable CNI from the command line. Damn. C group. You have to have that. FIFO dir. Detach from the task after it has started. Can I be used with dash RM? It is RM, so it's the same as Docker. Oh, I hope they do too. We'll see. Remove the container after runtime. So you can actually use RM. So that means that some of the same Docker commands work. Container versus Docker as a runtime. Oh, lots of differences. Yeah. Yeah. We talked about the differences between containers like I think yesterday, day before. We went through the whole container registry interface, CRI, and stuff. And ultimately, we talked about why containerd. That needs to be a video. I probably should make a video about that. I don't know if now is the time to do that video. But we don't have a video about it. It's driving me crazy that I don't have a video about that. A lot of the stuff that we've been doing, I've been trying to make little teeny tiny videos that summarize the decision points along the way, so people don't have to watch the whole video. Yeah, FreeBSD use jails for containers if you want to use OCI containers too. Yeah. the worst part, I hope, I talked to Dennis about this last miles. I talked to Dennis about compatibility between LXC and jails at some point, and I don't think that's ever happening. Docker is containerd plus other stuff on top. That's useless for Kubernetes. All right, I gotta make the video. All right, so I have to make this video. Somebody, I'm doing containerd commands and like, what's CTR? And this LBG answered the question about, what's the difference between containerd and Docker? And I love this answer. I just have to share it. LBG DN says, to put it short, Docker is containerd plus other stuff on top of it that's useless for Kubernetes. And that's kind of my take on it. This is a very short video. So of the container engines that exist, and maybe I'll go to make a point mode. Here we go. This is make a point mode. Behold. Also, it gives me a better thumbnail. So let's go through the container engines, right? So I believe it's called the Container Runtime Interface. It's a Kubernetes thing. Kubernetes has got all these acronyms that define pieces of architecture that have to be there. Again, Kubernetes is a specification. It's not software. It specifies how software should be and how it should work. Creo's still better, and that's a great fight to have. Okay, and so here we have. I'm using containerd. Most people these days, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Everybody uses containerd today. A few people, use Creo, which is an even light. We're going to get into what the differences are, but a few people use Creo. Almost nobody still uses Docker Community Edition or Docker as their container engine, particularly since I think it's been now 2 years since Kubernetes officially kicked Docker out and said, we don't want any Docker. And apparently my reactions from my Mac Pro are in favor of kicking Docker out. And so there's no Docker, right? Why no Docker? Docker is the devil. I've made videos about this before. The Docker company, the original founder of Docker, is long gone, moved on to pursue other interests. And Docker is seriously the devil. It doesn't have a CRT term. No, it doesn't. And that's the biggest argument against it, which we will talk about in a second. So now that Docker is out, and let's just really quickly summarize why Docker is the devil and why it's out. Number one, Docker has pulled fast ones on people in the business world for a long time, and the people in the open source world. The company actually pulled the rug out from several open source projects that said you can't store your stuff here, and ended up charging money even though they're open source, and it was a huge fiasco. They couldn't even get to their own containers, and the entire open source world said, whoa, we're out of here. And so what do? They all go to the GitHub container registry these days. GHCR is where you'll see images coming and getting pulled from, or they decide to run their own registries like Harbor, like Kubernetes itself, and a bunch of other places because they're just done with Docker. There are still some images that are being hosted on Docker Hub, but nobody, who's paying any attention wants any dependency on this horrible, horrible company. Docker also turned around and tried to charge everybody who was running Docker on the desktop money overnight. They gave them like 6 months, and then they pushed it out farther because all of a sudden they were saying, hey, enterprises, we're going bankrupt, and now you have to pay. And so everybody clamored. This was 2 years ago. Everybody clamored to try to find an alternative for the desktop to run containers for small projects and things like that. And people tried Podman Desktop. At one point there was a what was the other one? What was the open container? Quay. Yeah, there've been tons of alternatives. It turned out Podman is usually the winner when it comes to like desktop container engines and tools. Podman is kind of one in that space. It's Red Hat, whether you love them or hate them, they've decided that it's also safer because it doesn't have that socket issue going on. If you don't want any of that, then you just have to study containers. And in short, Docker is the devil. Nobody wants to use it anymore, and nobody should use it. And so what are you going to use, right? The entire Kubernetes infrastructure was based on Docker originally. Well, that's no longer been the case. It hasn't been the case for something like 2 years. So what is the case now is that a lot of things have emerged to replace it, and I'm going to name the top 3 things. We're talking about container engines right now, not tools for running containers on your desktop. They're different. So Podman and Docker, Scopio, Builda, all those things that you use to deal with containers and move them around, those tools and stuff, those are not in the scope of conversation right now. We'll set those aside. What we're talking about is a container engine. In other words, I want to put a container engine on a thing because I want to run Kubernetes, or I want to run Minikube, or I want to run, which is Kubernetes, or I want to run Nomad, right? And all of these things require containers. And some of them share. They all have similarities. In particular, Nomad and Kubernetes are very interesting because they both require a container engine, and they both require something that started as a Kubernetes standard called the Container Network Interface. So the CNI, and that's the way the container does networking and how it talks to each other and how containers network with each other. And so these are all related to the conversation. They all are built, obviously, these containers we're talking about are not jails, they're not BSD. They're all built on something called LXC. And a lot of people would argue from the Linux community that LXC is the one true way to use a container. And that's really low level, and that uses something called C groups. And there's actually a low level component called runC, which has become the abstraction of how to run a container on top of LXC. And that has now become sort of a dependent piece of this. All of these things use runC. Why is this important? Because all of the container engines that I'm going to talk about have different layers of complexity and bloat that are layered on top of runC, more or less. Okay, so Creo, which our friend LBG has been mentioning, is by far the lightest. It is super duper lightweight. It's this teeny tiny wrapper of runC. It's pretty much just runC. And for that reason, if you need to debug a container, or you want to do Docker type things like, exec into a container, or see it, or ls it, or remove the image, and all these different things, a lot of those functions are not included with the command line tools to use that. There are a number of utilities that relate to all of this new container engines stuff, some of which I actually am kind of deficient skills-wise in. One of them is CRI-CTL. So CRI-CTL. This is called Container Runtime Interface. So all of the container engines since Kubernetes made the declaration, thou shalt define and follow the container runtime interface, every container engine on the planet that matters uses CRI. And so this tool has been maintained that interfaces directly with anything that speaks CRI. Now, but the container runtime interface doesn't cover everything that you would want to do with Docker or Podman. And so you may be like thinking, oh my God, where did my commands go, right? And that is because the container runtime interface has been designed for Kubernetes. That's where the comment at the beginning of the video comes in, that it's not the stuff that you would want to do on a desktop. So it's eliminated a lot of those things that you might want, for better or worse, right? And then so each container runtime engine has decided, okay, how much are we going to add on top of the base functionality of runC and CRI and CNI, the container networking interface, which defines how they talk to each other. So if you're just trying to get containers to work on your desktop, this is not the video for you. This is the video for which engine should I pick. So Creo is CRI-O when we first used it 2 years ago, was rather immature, and it didn't really work, and it had some bugs in it. But since it's come around, I'm not going to use it though, for reasons I'll talk about later. It's the lightest weight. It's the smallest engine you can possibly run on a node. Whether it's a virtual or a real node being a machine, and it's the smallest thing you can get. It's just baseline layer on top of runC. And a step up from that, and you get Containerd. Containerd is kind of the legacy from Docker and Docker CE. And as actually, unfortunately, the packages, if you want a package install of Containerd, you still have to go to the Docker project for those things. And that is why I wrote my own installer for Containerd based on Containerd's documentation. That is not a package, but this is all the stuff that you would get from a package. This is how you install Containerd. It adds bash completion for Containerd. This installs runC. It installs the Containerd plugins for CNI and all of that stuff. Now, why would you pick Containerd over Creo? Creo is the default for OpenShift. Yeah, but OpenShift is a Red Hat offering, and they have more control over the container engines. They don't want people. OpenShift is more of a one solution meets, is good for everybody kind of thing, and they want lightweight, so they don't want to impact their thing. Plus, usually if you're doing OpenShift, you're already deploying Red Hat, and so OpenShift plus Red Hat equals joy for them in enterprise. And so they kind of control the whole ecosystem. So they really don't want people poking around in the container engine. But if you're me, or you're a lot of other people in their home lab or some other thing, sometimes you want to use that container engine on that node for other purposes, or you just don't trust the minimalism of Creo and other things like that, because you really want to see what's going on when Kubernetes stops working, and you want to go, get under the hood or whatever and see what's actually going on. And the only way you can actually see what's going on in container engine is, it is now. Creo was not battle tested 2 years ago. It was not. It was throwing all kinds of errors in our test cases at work, and so we decided not to do it. These technologies are evolving all the time, so you probably want to reevaluate every year whether you want to do it. But if you're deploying a cluster and that cluster is going to be around for a year or two, which is probably a bad idea, by the way, you should be automatically updating your clusters pretty frequently. Otherwise, you're going to get day 2 problems in your enterprise. So what container engine you use, that decision is largely up to you. But if you want more access, you've been using it for 5. That doesn't surprise me. A lot of advanced people have been using Creo for a long time and making it work. I'm just telling you that when we tried it in our enterprise, that the people who did it wasn't me. They had an exceptional number of complications with the container engine in our enterprise. Now, we might have had hardware concerns that were different. But, obviously you have to test all these things out. Creo is the lightest weight. Therefore, technically, it probably is going to be the least likely to have problems once it gets stable, because there's not a lot of things to maintain. But it also exposes the least amount of things to you under the hood. You have to go through Kubernetes or Nomad or whatever it is to get to the stuff that you want to see about the container engine. There's no way to open the hood or go under the car and see how it's working. You can't SSH into the box and then run a command that doesn't have anything to do with the thing using the container engine, and that can be problematic. And by the way, that is primarily the difference between these things. So Creo gives you almost zero access to any of the things that are happening under the hood. You found some small issues and open PRs for them. Okay, nice. But it's lightweight, blah, blah, blah. Container D is kind of the step up from that. It's not Docker, but it's heavily inspired by Docker and currently controlled by Docker. And I think that's super important. Container D has not yet broken free of the Docker umbrella. If you want to install Container D, it is a separate project, but the project, the package installs and everything are still coming from the Docker team. If I'm wrong about that, please, put it in the comments. Be nice. I'm just going on what I last heard. But as far as I know, as of this moment, the Containerd project, it still has ties with Docker. It's so much so that you can't apt install Containerd unless you add the Docker bloat, which includes adding the literal Docker hub package repository to your app repos just to install it by using apt install if you're on Ubuntu. And I'm not doing that. So I wrote a script to do it in the official Containerd alternative way, which is, download the service and add it to systemd, download, the Containerd stuff, download runc, download the plugins, add an etc control D config.toml file and modify it using a toml Python script, which is all in my script. You can go look at it. And that's all the stuff that a package install would do for you. But, it's not a package. It's ugly. Should somebody make a package under the app repo that is coming from a distant repository for Containerd? I think they should, but I don't want to be the one to do it. And if it does happen, it should come from the Containerd project, which right now doesn't seem motivated to do that. They just want to continue to use the one that's being maintained by Docker. So I don't know the reason for that, but it's important that you know that you're not free of Docker, things. In fact, there are still some pieces, even of Kubernetes, that used to be Docker. You have to install a Docker CE package to get them. That may have changed in the last 2 years. I'm about to find out. So that's a lot to talk about. What about Docker CE Community Edition? Yeah, you can just install Docker CE Community Edition Docker. We're talking about the desktop thing, the same Docker command and everything. You can use that. That will put in all the container engine you want on your nodes if you want, but it's got a lot of extra stuff there that doesn't need to be there. You can use Docker if you want. If you want to install Docker on all those nodes, you can do that too. You can install Podman on those nodes, and any of those tools will work. But at each stage in the game, you've added more bloat. To give you one solid example, which I think is a bad example, but I'm going to cite it for you anyway. I think this is an anti-pattern. Let me just say it right up front. But our business, the place that I work, when I first got here, they had people using this. It makes me sick to even say this because it's such a bad practice. Extra attack service, all kind of thing. we had people that were using, they didn't have Docker on their desktop and they weren't allowed to install it. So we had system administrators who needed to use Docker for all the normal Docker things, right? For getting an image and compiling an image and creating a Docker file and all those things, right? They were actually reusing Kubernetes node machines as their personal Docker space. And so they would SSH in as root because they had root access. The rest of the user base didn't. And they said, well, I need Docker. I don't want to put it on my desktop or whatever. And so they would SSH into root and they would use Docker using the Docker command. And their container images and all their stuff would end up getting intermixed with the stuff being managed by Kubernetes on that node. That is a major, major violation of best practice. One of the biggest anti-patterns in history. I can't believe they did it. And they did this because they said they didn't have any other way to use Docker. I think that's totally stupid. Thank you for the follow. I thought that was totally stupid. I was like, why are you doing this? This is so dangerous. And then the other guys were saying, well, we can't administer our endpoint nodes unless we can use Docker. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they say, well, we need to get in there and see what's going on in the container engine. And to be fair, the container engine, Docker container engine in Kubernetes was broken back then. And there were certain cases where the images would stick around and they would bloat out the container engine. Does anybody remember this? This was Kubernetes version whatever. I don't remember what version it was. But there was a time when Kubernetes had a legitimate bug in it that caused containers to sit there forever and not ever get cleaned out. And the only way to clean up those images was to go SSH over with Docker and then delete all the extraneous images and make sure they weren't being used by Kubernetes. Which, if you're a Kubernetes admin, I mean, the whole, promise of Kubernetes is to save you from that crap, and they did not do that. Oh my God. And it was horrible. I don't ever want to go back to that world. It's been 2 or 3 years since I really looked at that level of Kubernetes that deeply. I'm doing it now in my home lab. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you weren't burned by people who have been burned by not being able to manipulate the images that are in the container runtime engine on their endpoint nodes, people who have been burned by that, like we were, they're very, very leery of Creo because they don't have the access to do that. They don't have the same debugging and administration access to the underlying container image that was absolutely essential to restoring Kubernetes functionality when that bug existed. And so they've been burned by that and they're like, oh, hell no, I am not doing that. I want access to my container engine, attack surface and security or not. I don't care. I'm going to go do it. And maybe they have other, bad reasons. Like I need a Docker engine someplace. And I don't want to put it on my desktop because Docker, I have to pay for it now. Which is stupid. That's totally stupid. Don't do that. So they've been burned by it. So a lot of people have sort of landed on this middle ground. And the middle ground, I personally believe the most popular container engine right now, and is, I'll definitely link to the Zet. I think that the most popular container engine today, particularly for home labs, is Containerd. For that reason, it has the level of access for tweaking and watching what's going on with your images, even if it's just for learning purposes. And it doesn't hobble you when you try to see what's actually happening under the hood, like Creo does. But it also, it's kind of on that side, so it gives you more access into it. So people like me that are uncomfortable with the absolute minimum of Creo. And by the way, I did try to run a Kubernetes cluster with Creo and tested it when I did my last Kubernetes cluster. And then I realized that I couldn't do anything in the image. And that was when I decided I did not want anything to do with it. Because I wanted to be able to tinker. And that is why that I have chosen Containerd. All of my peers at work, including the ones that, by the way, the people who did that shit in the cluster, sorry for the swear word, they're gone now. All of them. They've all went on to do other things. The team that I'm with now, they know their shit. They know what they're doing. I'm super happy to have them as teammates. Why is my reaction not working? That makes me sad. There we go. So that is why I am using Containerd. Containerd or Creo. That's what I would use. There may be other container runtime engines. I don't know about them. Let me know in the comments if I should know about them. Those are the only ones that really matter, though, in my opinion. All right, there's the end of that video. I don't, what's the Zet number? I haven't saved the Zet yet. I guess I could save it. Zet URL. Zet same URL. Zet URL same. There you go. 2723. Remember, well, we've been doing the same for the last 20 years without any drama. Yeah, I mean, people can get away with that. If you change fewer things, then you don't have drama, right? Yeah, there are people. Some people say don't even use any technology that's less than 7 years old. BSD people are fond of that kind of thing because stuff doesn't change. That's why, people need robust systems. They use that instead. I need to get that upload started, my friends. That's just how this life goes here. I just have to start the upload. Otherwise, I will never upload it, and it will just sit there and be a waste. My wife has not gone to do her thing yet, so I haven't gone to do my thing yet. Boy, the network. We're having network problems today. I don't know what's going on. We got some kind of network collisions going on. I'm trying to figure out what's happening there. Yeah, I'm watching our bitrate drop a lot lately. Kids is already 10, so we're fine. Yeah. How you doing? Oh gosh.
Nige is now following.
Let's go ahead and add this one right here. Today at 122. What's that? That is a tool I made for managing my Zelcast and notes. I got lots of videos on it. You can go do that.
No_Clo is now following.
That should help. Yeah. Let me go ahead and update this really quick. So, let's do the question mark. What's a container? And this is it's a big question. Containers, Kubernetes, DevOps. I fucking hate that term. Comparison, Linux. How's that? Is there not a generated pane yet? Nope. Next. That's a long video. That's longer than I wanted, but it just takes a little while, guys, and then we'll get going. Tomorrow I'm probably going to have to not stream. I got to clean. I don't want to clean. I got to clean. But I have to get this cluster up today. I have to because I need it. I need it for next week's work. So this is what happens when I make videos. I don't get shit done. Yeah. This is why my stuff is so messy. It's like there's no time. Like, yeah. Publishing close. Copy. I'm going to put it in SkillStack so I don't lose it. If you haven't gone to skillstack.io, that's where I organize all my videos and stuff. You can go over there and do stuff. Docs, boost, basic terminal LXC. That's probably an LXC thing. Yeah. Was a container engine. What's the container engine? Which one should I use? I'll go get the link. There we go. Get dash a git commit add container engine comparison git push. All right, so that'll be published. You can go check that out on skillstack.io. And we are back to working on our stuff. All right, we are back. I'm just going to keep going. We need to run kubeadm over here. I don't know what I'm doing again, so I have to go look it up. I think we took care of our node. We got our container stuff. We did our node changing. We need to change the host names. We have not changed the host names. And that's going to be done individually. So I need to turn pane synchronization off. Before we do that, let's go ahead and what's going on here? Why did it stop? That was weird. See, clear all the screens. We have some sort of network problem right now. I don't know what's going on with that. All right, so set. Let's see. Yeah. Synchronize panes to off. Why? We're having that network problem again. What the hell is up with my network? I have a red host on my network, and I think that it is causing packet collisions for some reason. I do not know why. I think it might have the same IP address assigned, but it's caused some network latency, like really bad network latency lately. I'm sorry about that. I'm just looking back at my router. Anyway, so IPA, which one is this one? 25. So which one is 25? 25 is Kate's 3. So Kate's controller 3. We need to change the host name. For those of you who don't know about host name changes, there is, it's unfortunate that this doesn't get them all, but we confirmed that it doesn't earlier. Sudo host name ctl set host name, and you can also just do host name, and then you can put the new host name. So Kate's control 3, and the problem with this is that it doesn't change the host file, which is super annoying. So you still have to do sudo avi etc hosts. Oh, and you have to change this guy here. And seriously, this is annoying, very annoying. And I'm pretty sure you have to reboot to get it. I think you can restart network hostname services. I don't remember the step for that. I think I actually wrote it in my Zet. Avahi daemon, clone the template. We also need to install the Avahi daemon. We need to do that. I think it already has the Avahi daemon on here. It just needs to be updated. I don't know how to restart. How do I restart network services so that change to host name will take effect on Ubuntu? So we'll go take a peek at that. All right, let's go back to to bubble mode. So what we got here? If I change the host name, CTL set host name, new host name, we just did that. Updated to host, did that. Restart network services, have not done that. So restart, is it systemd network D? That's it. Some systems do network manager. I mean, okay. It's really just restart. Wait. Actually, we can do that on all three at the same time again. We can turn pane back on. Let's do that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that in all three panes. I'm zooming out so I can go do the same thing over here. Actually, I can go steal the commands from here. Wait, where are they? Where's my host CTL command? I didn't. There we go. Wait, what? All right. Back. What's going on here? I'm getting some kind of lag again. Yep. Lag again. Don't know what's going on with that. Kate's control 2. And okay, so let's hope this is 24. Yeah, okay, so yeah, and we should be able to control 1. I forgot to, yeah, thanks for the follow.
Philos 501 is now following.
And this is Kate's control 1. Down here we need to do that as well. Sudo vi etc host. Kate's control 2. And save that. And now we can synchronize the things and restart network services. What is going on with this lag? It's insane. It's like insanely bad lag. I got to fix that up. I have no idea what's causing that. Anyway, so we turn the TMX pane synchronization back on. Pane synchronization. Wait, synchronize panes on. Clear the screens so they're the same. LS. Okay, so all right, so let's do sudo systemctl restart network stuff. And I don't remember the name, so I feel like this is wrong. Is it? Oh, it's systemd network D. Okay, sorry. So systemd. Come on, baby. Yes. All right, fine. D. Network. D. All right, so that should set our Avahi. Now, actually, I don't know if Avahi's on. We'll probably have to restart the Avahi daemon too. Yeah. So, host name. There we go. Control 1, 2, and 3. And we can now do, just for the grin of it, I'm going to restart the Avahi daemon, which I installed into the base VM. And this might be enough to get us the broadcast new domain name. Let's actually check. SSH. If this is true, I can tab and I'll have the other host names, which I do not yet have. We haven't connected to them yet, so it can't really do the completion yet. So we can do Kate's with Kate's control. This actually should work though. Once we do it the first time, SSH should know about it, and because it would be in the known host file, and then you can tab complete it. Okay, it knew about it. That means Avahi broadcast to the network, which is nice. It has its own fingerprint, which is also nice. Let's do the same for 2. Yes, this is going to update the host keys for that in known host file, and we'll do 3 as well. And we'll type exit here. All right, so when we do SSH tab, all these are now in known hosts in the SSH file, so they can be completed, tab completed. So that is kind of nice. On IPv6 even, yeah, absolutely. So the Avahi stuff, the reason that we're doing MDNS is so that we don't have to deal with names. I don't want to mess with updating DHCP and any of that. I don't have to if Avahi's on there. So does it have a downside? Probably. I just don't care in my home lab. about that. It's just not worth it. All right, so we're back to setting up these three control planes using kubeadm, and this is where things get kind of interesting, and it's where I have no idea what I'm doing. So it's good that we have LVG and other people in the house who can tell me when I'm doing something wrong. But there we go. We got these three hosts here. I do wish the guest services, the Proxmox guest services, were smart enough to, or Kimu guest services were smart enough to broadcast the name, the host name, but I do not see that. So you just have to go by the names that are here. And I'm fighting a temptation to debug my network latency right now, but we got to get kubeadm running on here. And I don't know. So hypothetically, I've got these three systems are perfectly ready. They got all the dependencies on there, ready to install Kubernetes control plane. And what I really should do, frankly, is I don't want to do this, but I should actually fire up 6 panes, and I should configure kubeadm on all of them rather than just the control planes, right? Oh wait, bash-l. Let's actually update our stuff. There we go. So now our host names and our prompts are right, and we can actually do the kubeadm setup on all 3. So what is next? I need to use the kubeadm commands. So this essentially boils down to getting some certs and some keys, and then communicating those to all the different nodes. And there's some stuff that kubeadm does. We're going to refer to the official documentation on this, as well as to our friends' notes here, and to chat's input. So all this other stuff has been done. We do not need to disable swap anymore. That is official. And Etsy resources list for Kubernetes. This is all the app installs. We've done all that. All right. So sudo enable system kubelet. We did that already. That's all running. Apt install socat for kubeadm. I do not know what that is about. Apparently that is used here. Socat not found in system path, init config. Detected at the sandbox registry policy container. Huh. I don't know if I'm going to get that problem. So yeah, cluster configuration, API version, blah. Kube configuration, secret driver, systemd. I think this is a very minimal config file. I'm actually going to read the official docs on this to bolster this. The documentation for Kubernetes is horrible. It bounces all around. It's circuitous and all stuff, but we're going to try it. This is the only thing you get access to if you're going to try to certify. It's the only docs you can read, so it's worth going through it. I hate it, but whatever. So getting started, download Kubernetes, Kubernetes container images, we got all that done. Learning environment, install tools. We're not doing some Minikube. Deploying Kubernetes with kubeadm. Here's what I'm talking about. Bootstrapping the cluster, installing kubeadm. We did this already, but we should review our steps. We installed kubeadm and all of its dependencies. Our nodes are all spec'd way better than this is even requiring. Product QID for the node, kubeadm installation, binary, dynamic, we've done that. Verify your MAC addresses, we've done that. Don't need that. Check network adapters, don't need that. Check required ports. This is all fine. This is going to be fine. We don't need a problem with that. Swap configure. This is if you weren't using a brand new VM, like if you were trying to reuse something, which is a bad idea. It says here, swap manager, set swap. To use swap, set a swap behavior. To tolerate swap, add fail swap on false to kubelet configuration as a command line argument. Note, even if fail swap on false is provided, workloads wouldn't have swap access by default. This can be changed by setting swap behavior. I think this is old information. Again, in the kubelet configuration file, to use swap, set a swap behavior other than default no swap setting. To disable swap, sudo swap off, A can be used to disable swap temporarily. To make this change, persist across reboots to make sure blah. So this swap off directive is, I think it's dated. I don't think it's relevant anymore, but it's still there. So that means we need to do it. And I don't like that because I know for a fact that you can leave swap on still. Okay, so duplicate as for control planes. Dot 1, 2, 3. Okay, so maybe the speed of light. I'm not. This is really slow actually. So let's go ahead and disable swap on all Kate's nodes. I feel like we should have done this before we made the image. But whatever. I'm seriously tempted to do it to the template and then to clone the template and make it and change it and then resave it. But I'd have to do all the name changing too, so I'm not going to do it. Disable swap on all nodes. I actually want to put a thing here. Go to Salvahi daemon. Take a VM snapshot. So this is the Debian thing. GAQ duplicate disable swap with fstab. So sudo swap off -a. All right, so -a plus changing SCFS tab system swap. Make sure swap is disabled in config files like OS tab system swap, depending on how it's configured. So this disable swap note that somebody took here is a good idea. Disable swap off, remove FS tab entry. Yeah. So, and I'm going to put the same note. I don't know what that looks like. We're going to go look at that right now. So, grep swap from FS tab. So there is a line there, it looks like. I don't know what that means. Do we delete it from there? Do we just remove it? To disable swap, how do I disable swap permanently from on Ubuntu? So I want to make sure I'm doing it right. Swap off -a. It's coming out the etcd line. I'm not editing it like that. I'm not doing that. I'm doing persistent Perl PIE change. Or you can do it with sed-i either way. I don't like sed because sed has shitty regular expressions. Swap file. If it aligns to the reference to swap, it will be something like this. A reboot. Swap on show. Okay. All right. I guess we have to do all those steps. I don't want to do that, but sudo swap off. Remove FS tab entry. Comment FS tab entry. Extended, but not Perl. So extended don't have boundaries, which is really powerful. \b. So reboot. Sudo swap. Swap on --show. to validate. All right, I'm saving this out. Let's do this now. So, swap off dash A. Comment the SCFS tab entry. Rep swap. SCFS tab. We already did that. Rob. Perl dash P dash I dash E. Let's do replace. Now that I know what it is, swap with what is it? Comment? Is it an is it a comment line? What is the comment line? I didn't look. It is okay. It's a Octothorpe. I just had to check Octothorpe. Actually, since this has slashes in it, let's do this. Yeah, we can just do this swap with hashtag slash swap. And that should cover it. We need to make it at the beginning of the line, so there we go. So, yep, and ready, go. Substitution not terminated. Whoopsie daisy. There we go. I cannot make that temp permission denied. Sudo. There. All right, so I'm going to write this command down. Perl Pi. Learn it, love it. It's awesome. Way better than sed-i. All right, so for my system, that's the node I'm going to take. Let's actually make sure that it did it. And now the lines are all commented now. And what else we got? So looks like we need to reboot, so let's do that. We're going to lose our terminal, but oh well. Sudo shutdown -r. Now I'm old school. I don't use the reboot command. Just sue me. I don't use it. Set sync panes off. All right, so let's do our ping SSH. Oh, wait. Damn. I can leave my sync on. Yeah. Because I can just go up with one. Whoops. I can go up one command. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's not happening. Oh, well. Set sync off. I should probably have a command for that. Anyway, clear. Let's just check this anyway. So tab, Kate's control 1. There we go. SSH Kate's control 2. SSH Kate's control 3. And now we can sync. Set sync panes on. C to clear them all. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Free-h. Swap is 0. And I think that's going to be our confirmation. Do they recommend anything else? No, it's 0. All right, so no swap. Swap has been disabled. That step is done. Installing container runtime, did that already. Installing kubeadm, kubelet, and kubectl, did that already. command to bootstrap the cluster, kubelet, qcl the command line talk to your utils. For information warning, they have to be the same. Legacy packages, no. Dedicated package repository minor. This is all the stuff about how to update to use the official APTs for those tools, which we did, even though I had installers to use the direct tarbles, which I stopped using. I'm now using the APT tools, which can be versioned, by the way. I learned by looking at this. And I did install each one in its own installer, even though it's using the APT tools redundantly instead of doing what they did here, because things like restarting kubelet, I wanted that separate. And also, I wanted to have an installer just for kubectl, because sometimes I want to install kubectl on an Ubuntu machine that is not in the cluster, and I want to be able to use it for other things. So I set those things are all separate in my dot files under install Ubuntu / install dash whatever kubelet kubeadm kubelet. Did that yesterday. Configuring cgroup driver. I think we did this already. With the container runtime and kubelet have proper cgroup driver. We did this. We wrote a toml tweaker in the install containerd, and that is a part of the container runtime. So we've already done this. So that is done. We've done all of those things. Unfortunately, as you can see, this documentation doesn't show us how to actually install anything besides kubeadm. It just shows us how to do that. Creating a cluster with Curia. Troubleshooting kubeadm. All right, let's do this. Troubleshooting kubeadm. Possible to join. This is all stuff we don't need right now. E-table, some executables. We don't. This is stuff that we. Why would they put this before creating a cluster with it? I do not understand. Host board, TLS. Okay. We'll have to come back here if we have any problems. We're going to use creating a cluster with kubeadm, and paying attention here. So use kubeadm to create a minimal viable cluster, conforms to best practices. In fact, kubeadm set up a cluster that will pass the Kubernetes conformance test. kubeadm also supports other cluster things like bootstrap tokens and cluster upgrades. Kubeadm tool is good as use. It's good if you need simple way. I don't know why they say it's a simple way. If it's a simple way, you should use Minikube or Kind or something, or Microcates or whatever, Kubler. A way for existing users to automate. This documentation was written back when people were actually installing binaries individually on endpoints to make them do things. If you want to see a really outdated, exhaustive view of why they think this is a simpler way, search for Kelsey Hightower's Kubernetes the hard way, which you should not do. I'm going to say this very loudly. Do not do Kelsey Hightower's the hard way. It's no longer relevant in any way. It's completely out of date. And the guide is not for people looking at blah, blah, blah. And it looks like people are like making comments about that. But this actually does not have any scripts. You literally have to take the binaries and put them where they go on the system and install them individually, and then get them to talk to each other and create all the certificates and everything. It's not to be used. There's no company on the planet would ever install Kubernetes this way. The idea is that it's like Arch, right? It's like if you do it, you'll get to understand how Kubernetes inner workings work. I think it's a mistake, especially for a beginner, to use this in any way. It looks like they did try to update it recently. But I cannot overstress enough how much I think this is a mistake if you're just starting out. Anyway, so Kelsey's a great dude, but this is shit. I would not ever do this. No. Just read the source code if you want to know how the thing works. But then, you'll see how bad the source code is, which is you hate Kubernetes like me. A way for existing users to automate, set up the cluster, and test their application, a building block for ecosystems. You can install use KVM on various machines, your laptop, set of cloud servers, Raspberry Pi, or more. This is kind of true, but why? You just use Minikube, right? Set up, deploying cloud or on-prem. That's what we're doing. I learned today that in Indian, that prem means love. So, such as Ansible or Terraform. Before we begin, follow this guide. One of our machines, we got that. 2 gigs of RAM, we got that. 2 CPUs, got that. Full network connectivity, have that. Kubernetes under Kubernetes alpha or definitions, objectives in a single control plane cluster. We're not doing that. We're doing multiple. I don't like that this tutorial is just a single control plane. That makes me mad. Install container runtime. We did that already. And I'll host. We already did this. Remember I said how circuitous everything is? We already read this entire document, and then we got to the install kubedm part, and so we're back in the same thing. Okay, so find out what the IP of your Linux host is. kubedm, similar to any other Kubernetes components, tries to find usable IP on the network interface associated with the default gateway on the host. Such an IP is then used for advertising. IP should look for the line that says default via. All right, so IPA actually grep default. Via. So what is that? So our is ESN 18 on all three. I think ESN is yeah, it's the 192 network, so we're good. All right, just checking. So Kubernetes default is present on the host Kubernetes component. We'll try to use the first one. We got that. Kubernetes components do not accept custom network interfaces as an option, which sucks ass. Therefore, a custom IP must be. I hate this. All 5 components instances that need a custom configuration. If the host does not have a default gateway, this is another reason to keep your nodes very simple, right? Don't do other things on your nodes, including control planes. It's just a bad idea because you don't have tweaking something will break because of your other work on there. I actually worry a little bit that on my nodes, I did not start up microcates to do a VM, which actually added a virtual bridge and another interface and a whole bunch of stuff that would have messed with kubeadm. That's the reason we're here, by the way, is the Minikube didn't work. So, so the configure the API server advertise the address because Minikube got so annoying that I had to do an SSH port forward on the bridge that it connected to because you couldn't tell it to use the default interface, and so it would use the bridge interface every time, which doesn't have access from my host because it's not on the same subnet. So Minikube is fucking useless in a VM. The end. To configure the API server address, advertise services, none didn't work. I don't want to hear driver equals none. User error. It didn't work. None fell on its face also. And it wanted me to install Docker and crap. And I ended up using the Docker interface anyway. But it's buggy. The Minikube stuff is buggy under a VM. To configure the API server advertise address for control plane nodes, create with both within it and join. This is what we're using. The flag API server advertise address can be used. Okay, fine. We don't want to do that. Perfectly, the option can be set in the Kube API. We don't need any of that. For kubelets on all nodes, that's what we want. The node IP option can be passed. All right, so this is actually kind of a problem because we want them to not be tied to a single master. So I think there's a section over here about HA. It's going to be interesting to read about that. To configure the API server advertise address for control plane nodes created with both init and join, the flag API server advertise address can be used. Preferably this option can be set to the kubeadm API as init, local API endpoint, and job configuration control API. Preferably this option can be set in the kubeadm API as for kubelets on the nodes, use node IP. I'm pretty sure one of these things takes commas, and I wish you know what? I could probably look at our kubeadm line. We have nice code at work, but I don't want to do that. I want to learn it the hard way. For kubelets on all nodes, the node IP can be passed in node registration, kubelet extra args inside a kubeadm configuration file. So this reminds me, last time I did this, there's 2 ways to spin up kubeadm. One of them is to create a single command line execution and give it a bunch of arguments. And the other one is to put it all into a file and to use a Kubernetes object, modernly known as a resource. They interchange those terms all the time, called kube, what is it? kubeadm config. So kubeadm config is a legitimate Kubernetes object, and you can actually read it. It's documented with all the other objects for Kubernetes, and resources. I got to use the word resource. That's the right word these days. So, dual stack support with kubeadm, node registration, init configuration, join configuration, as an init configuration, yeah. So, the kubeadm API, here we go. kubeadm configuration overview package v1 beta 4 defines a version of the kubeadm configuration file format. This version improves the format by fixing some of the minor issues. So this was actually, now I'm starting to remember, we were modernizing our cluster. I was like, why are we not using kubeadm config files? And my team was still using the old school, like write a script and pass a ton of arguments to it. This is the modern way to do it, particularly because you can see all the defaults. So when you dump it, you get a bunch of good stuff. Now, it's still beta though, so I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means it's good to go or not. Users are able to reset it by passing config. They said it was the preferred way, but it's still beta. So you have all these cluster config settings, migration from old kubeadm config versions, kubeadm 1.15 can be used to migrate, and you're no longer supported. Yeah, this is interesting. This was kind of emerging 2 years ago when I was using it. It looks like it's kind of a standard, even though it's still beta. Kubernetes config file could contain multiple configuration separation types. Initial, oh boy, they broke it up. There's multiple objects now. There's an init configuration, and then there's kubelet configuration. That's different. And apparently there's cluster configuration too. Kubernetes supports the following configuration. This is totally messed up. Join configuration. They say the documentation sucks, remember? There's like, they need a space there. It's a small thing, but depends on the defaults for the init, join, reset, upgrade. So these are all the different stages of kubeadm, which is one of the things that's cool about kubeadm, is it does, if you look at the source code of kubeadm, it actually does all the stuff that Kelsey Hightower does, but it does kubeadm just encapsulates all those commands, and including all the cert generation and stuff like that. Normally you'd be doing that on your own. kubeadm init configuration types, init configuration. I mean, I could spend all day looking at this. I mean, this is, I think this person actually used a kubeadm config. Yeah, they did. Cluster configuration, and their kubelet configuration is here. Yeah. And I don't know what's up with SOCAT. File existing SOCAT. Warning, file existing SOCAT. SOCAT was not found. What is up with SOCAT anyway? We should have installed SOCAT. Looks like there's a dependency on that. I'm not gonna question it at this point. I'm just gonna do it. I need to get done. I want to finish. So, all right, we got SOCAT installed. Let's make sure that gets in our stuff. I should have done that before I duplicated the node, but oh well. Yeah, I'm gonna put a thing here because I did not get to those. Yeah, I guess so. When I do the worker notes, I'm gonna have to remember where I stopped, because I'm gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to do all these steps as well again. To do these before templating. How are you?
Averdar is now following.
All right, so back. So here we got that all on there. This looks like it's a pretty minimal kubelet config and cluster config. I kind of want to understand it though. So I'll take a sandbox image, make directory .cube, cvsc kubernetes admin.conf to kube.conf config. Is this in a home directory? It looks like it is. Oh yeah. This is for kubectl. And then we need Cilium as the CNI. That's usually the last piece. What I don't know is if it's going to actually, how we're going to check in. And that's actually going to be a tough part of this. I think when you do it, it actually automatically talks to the other stuff on the network, but I don't know that. So we're going to go back to the official docs. The official docs have us, learning kubeadm installs, which is a pain in the ass. I mean, all of these things that you can define in here. Botnets, subnets. I mean, all of this stuff is going to, you really don't need to set anything in here except for what is already the default. You could make an argument, the same argument you make for Helm YAML files when you're, or values.yaml files when you're flattening Helm files charts, that you should probably capture what the kubeadm defaults were in your configuration, because they will differ depending on Kubernetes cluster. So the next time, like, if you were going to spin up another cluster and you wanted to see how those things changed, you could study that if you wanted to, but in that case, I'm just throwing the other one away, honestly. The whole point of Kubernetes is it's ephemeral, and you can just chuck it and get a new one. So we've already got the container images prepped. Okay, so we got the IPs done. To configure the API server advertise address for control plane nodes, create with both init and join. The flag API server advertise address can be used. Okay, so this is what we want. This is the thing that's going to tell kubeadm to talk to the kubelets, and the kubelets will see it, and then they'll register and they'll check in. This option can be used with kubeadm API like this if you want. For kubelets on all nodes, do node IP. Option can be passed. Okay, so to configure the API server address. So we're going to be writing, I can tell already we're going to be writing a script here for dual stack C, dual stack support with kubeadm. The IP address to use assigned to control plane components become part of the XMN subject to determine change the IP address with change required signing. Recommends against the approach configuring all components instances with custom IP addresses. Instead, the Kubernetes maintainers recommend to set up a host network. So the default gateway IP is the one that Kubernetes components auto-detect and use. Yeah, that's what we have. That is why I told you to simplify your VMs. It's also why Minikube doesn't work. On Linux nodes, you can use commands such as IP route to configure. We did it already. Preparing required container images. This step is optional and only applies in case you wish kubeadm init and kubeadm join to not download the default container images, which are hosted on registry.k8s. kubeadm has, we don't need this. This step is optional. kubeadm has commands that require you to build pre-required images. You could customize the images used to start up or to stand up the kubeadm stuff, the kubelet and everything. kubeadm allows the custom image repository if required. If you want, if you're firing up clusters in a air-gapped environment, you might need that if you're the government or something. Initialize your control plane node. Control plane node is the machine where control plane components run. This is the your phone home, including etcd, API server, and kubectl. If you want, okay, so we haven't installed etcd. I don't think we have to install etcd. I think it's installed by default. I think that you used to be able to install etcd separately, but that's actually one of the reasons we're upgrading our clusters. We don't want to manage etcd installation separate from Kubernetes, which when you do it with a Kubernetes upgrade, it actually upgrades the certs and everything, so you don't have to manage your certs on a different time cycle than Kubernetes, which can take your cluster down. Our cluster, we've had our dev clusters go down multiple times because of expired certs, because etcd is being managed outside of Kubernetes. And that's one of the biggest negatives of Kubernetes. is, if you ask somebody, well, how do I do that? This, they'll say, I don't know. That depends. How do you want to do it? It doesn't use the one best way option that, made Python win over Perl, for example, because it just doesn't. It's really stupid. And it says, oh, there's lots of ways you can do it, right? Oh yeah, you want to manage your own etcd? Yeah, but why wouldn't I ever want to do that? And then so we learned the hard way that, don't do that. And I wasn't involved with any of that setup, by the way. I just inherited that shit. They're all gone. The people that set it up are all gone now. And somebody else is more competent than me is in charge of setting this up now, by the way. I am just trying to catch up. So recommended if you plans to have upgraded a single control plane. If you have plans to upgrade a single control plane cluster to high availability, we actually want to do that. You should specify the control plane endpoint to set the shared endpoints for all control plane nodes. Such an endpoint can either be a DNS name or an IP address or a load balancer. Shared endpoint for all control plane nodes. Such an endpoint can either be a DNS name or an IP address or a load balancer. What?
Do you want to go for a quick walk with the dog with me?
Yeah. I'm going to go walk with my wife. We're taking a break. You guys go take a break. Take a break. I'll be back.
Rook_uwu is now following. Nicopedes is now following. Nonce she is now following.
Hey, hi guys. I'm gonna go ahead and drop and restart. I'll be about. I'm gonna make coffee. I'll come right back. But next time I do this, I'll actually stop and then restart. There's really no problem with that. It'll just be separate VODs. Okay. So I'll be back if you're don't go do whatever you need to do.